and welcome everyone to the Three Money Amigos Tuesday discussion. The reason why you want to listen to us is because we're talking about your money. So it's really important that you watch this whole one. And we are headed towards that tax filing deadline of April 15th.
Yep.
So some of you all are probably like, oh my gosh. But we just passed a tax filing deadline that many of you all should know about, and maybe you didn't. It was March the 15th, and that's what we're talking about today. If you have a Subchapter S or a Partnership LLC. So before we dig into the topic, I want to introduce myself. My name is Brent Simpson. I'm the co-founder of Investing Education Academy, along with Leon Noble. And I am here with,
Joy,
ta-da,
Joy Fisher of Premier Group. We are a CPA firm in the Washington, D.C. area, here to support you in all of your business back office tax compliance needs.
And so some of you all, after you hear today's topic, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I need to set an appointment. If you don't have all your paperwork ready and you call into Premier Group's firm, they will do everything they can to assist. But if it's not all ready to go, you can still get it done. Rest assured. But it might be via the filing of an extension.
It
So
will be.
so
But I want to mention our third Money Amigo, who is Beverly Winstead, who is off being great and traveling as usual. So, Bev, we miss you. She is with the IRS help attorneys. She helps with all tax controversy and any tax season needs as well. But I can tell you, she's consistent with what I'm saying. If we don't talk to you by April 1st, please keep in mind we will be filing an extension and we will make sure you get in by the final deadline.
and if something goes wrong and you end up in trouble with the IRS, you absolutely want to contact, of course, the IRS help attorneys.
Yes.
So you can go to www.irshelpattorneys.com. So let's dig in. All right. So, Joy, this is really going to be me firing questions that I know many small business owners have in the world.
Okay.
I have a partnership LLC. Let's start there and then level up. I have a partnership LLC. Number one, what is the tax filing deadline for? You know what? Let me start by saying a partnership LLC, for anybody watching, is a LLC that is owned by more than one person.
Yes.
So if it's 3 or 4, it's still a partnership LLC.
Yep.
So
if it's 2 or more, it's still a partnership LLC.
yeah. And so now that you know, think about that. Not are you doing a lot of business with someone, but are they listed as an owner of that LLC? And if so, this is definitely for you. And if you have a Subchapter S, this is definitely for you. But we're going to start again with the partnership LLCs. So with the partnership LLCs, even though there are some parallels, let's act as if they aren't. You know, what is the tax filing deadlines for partnership LLCs?
It's March 15th.
And so, drum roll, that has passed. So for anybody who's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I had to file a partnership LLC beyond not until the April 15th deadline. It is a different deadline. It is March the 15th.
March
so
the 15th.
What happens if someone missed their filing deadline?
So if you missed the filing deadline, you are charged $195 per partner per month for the delay. So it would be very important for you to get your return done from that partnership as soon as possible. In addition, until that return is done, anything you do on your personal return can't be really filed or isn't completely correct because you need the information from the partnership. So they're two separate returns, but the information from the partnership goes onto your personal return.
Which is the reason why I believe that deadline is further up than the April 15th.
That is correct.
And it helps the IRS not become completely overloaded by being able to process these, then get the information, and you file your personal, so it's coming in kind of staggered. So if they're filing a partnership LLC, do they have to do anything with the information from the partnership filing on their personal taxes?
Yes. So you get a K1 from the partnership. That is then you have to input that into your personal return. And if it's a profit, you're going to wind up paying taxes on it. Or if it's a loss, it actually helps to reduce your income, and possibly, if you're in that category, it might help you to get a refund.
Now, if a person filed an extension, are they still subject to the $190?
No, you had to file an extension. And if you didn't file an extension and you missed the deadline, I promise you they're going to send you a late notice. Once you get that, you can call the IRS and request a first time penalty abatement if you've never been late before for that particular business. But that is a one time thing. It's not, you can't do it every year. And they do
No,
back period. I mean, they'll put you on hold. They'll say, we're going to check your records. They're going to look to see if you've ever gotten it before.
no, that's important to know. So now I'm taking the K-1 information. What happens if I file my personal taxes, but I don't input the information for my K-1s?
The return is wrong, and you open yourself up to the IRS is going to get both sets of information, and they do actually match it up, and they're going to at some point send you a notice and say your tax return doesn't match all the information that you have, and that opens you up again to penalties and interest back to the date that the tax return was due. So even though you may have filed your personal return on time, if you didn't include that K-1 and it causes you to owe more money, you're going to owe taxes as of the date that tax return was supposed to be filed.
Okay. Now, what happens if we have a subchapter S? What was the date for anybody, you know what? A subchapter S, I'll take a stab at explaining what this is. you can clean it up.
Clean it up. Gotcha.
Yeah. So subchapter S is like, in my mind, a step down from a C corp or a C corporation. It's when your income has exceeded a limit where the benefits are on the S corp side, and it's a corporation. It's a traditional corporation where you can actually have shareholders, where limited liability companies can have membership interest. They can't have actual shareholders. Although a subchapter S has a limited number of shareholders, they are still shareholders, similar to a C corp. For all intents and purposes, they're both still separating personal from state. I mean, your business. So what am I missing anything in regards
Yes,
to?
because LLC can be, even though it's a limited liability company, it can be designated. The S corp status is just a tax status, meaning you don't change any paperwork with the state. It's just the tax status, and so an LLC can be an S corp, and it can have shareholders.
It can so if it can have shareholders as a traditional LC, or it has to be an
Yes,
LLC that files as a subchapter S.
it has to be an LLC that files as a subchapter S.
Okay, so everybody, that was a good piece. So if you have an LLC that does not file as a subchapter S, it's a traditional pass through, then you cannot have shareholders. However, if you have an LLC that does file as a subchapter S, you can have shareholders. That was actually a great piece of information.
Yes. And one of the other things you mentioned is it's still a pass-through entity, meaning it's still going to, the difference between the C corp and the S corp. The C corp stands on its own, pays its own taxes, owes the state, owes the federal. With a S corp, whatever profit and loss, it passes through to your personal return, again on a K-1, to be reported on your personal return. So it's taxed at your personal tax rate.
Okay. Now, if a person's filing the subchapter S, is there anything special they should think about before filing?
That too is due on March 15th. You wouldn't just elect S corp status. You want to, because there are rules and because it is a corporation and it does have it's a little bit more costly. We always recommend that you at least be making $50,000 in profit before you consider S corp. It's a kind of a loose rule. It's not set in stone, but yeah, you don't want to just elect it right out the gate when you don't know how much money you're making.
All right. Now, this is a question somebody might be wondering. Is it possible for two partners in the S corp, or even in the L, and this is where we're going to combine them because some of these rules are very similar, or in a partnership LLC, to have different numbers on their tax return?
Yes, because they could own different percentages of the company. Every partnership isn't 50-50. You and I could own a partnership 60-40 or 70-30. So they could have different, you would have different numbers on your tax return, because that's how you're going to split both the profit and the loss, is by your ownership percentage.
So for all you all listening, don't forget, like, if you do have a partnership, when you're doing your filings, there is a percentage split that you have to keep in mind. So when you're looking at profit and or who's assuming the loss, because you might want the loss. And if you cut the loss 50-50, but your operating agreement or the original agreement was 60-40, that's not consistent. And then if you come back the next year and you correct that, and now you're doing it 60-40, there's imbalance, and again, you're opening yourselves up to more eyes, greater scrutiny. So,
Mhm.
and you could be cheating yourself out of what you agreed upon.
Right.
You really want to make sure that you understand. Not only should the numbers be consistent, but the numbers have to then go to your personal taxes, and the same numbers your partner presents to the IRS should be, for that business, should be the same number. I'm sorry, should be the percentage equivalent
Mhm.
that they're presenting to the IRS.
Right.
So when it comes together, it should equal one whole. It shouldn't equal 150%. You know, so if somebody's trying to take a little extra or do a little too much, make sure you talk to your partners. Make sure you all understand. And I would say, have your tax professionals on that phone call when you all are talking about how you're going to take this information and present it with your personal taxes. So if anyone's trying to get in touch with you, Mrs. Strunk, how would they go about that?
They would either call us at 301-577-6444, or they would go to our website, which is www.pgs-cpa.com.
All right. And if you all really have been thinking, I want to get into the cryptocurrency market, I want to learn more about the stock market, you can come to Investing Education Academy and we will show you everything that we know. And you can become part of an amazing community of people who are investing enthusiasts and grow with us. And I'll tell you all this, and I just put myself out there. I was a banking finance major in college. I, was a licensed stockbroker for a number of years. I've been a financial advisor. I still get help from Joy and Beverly because the laws have changed since I've been in this game. I don't do it every day. I'm not intimately familiar with it. So some of you all I know thinking, well, I have a finance, maybe I was a economics major, so I can do my own taxes. I can do this. Don't do yourself a disservice. Hire a professional because there are going to be rules and small nuances about this, about the tax law, especially now. Things have changed that you just don't know. And you don't know that you don't know. And later on, if you've been listening to the Three Money Amigos, we don't want you to get a letter in the mail saying there have been inconsistencies or something looks fishy, so we're opening up an audit. Like, we don't want that to happen. Spend the money on the front end, because I promise you, whether you're hiring Attorney Beverly Winstead or CPA Joyce Sistrunk, it will cost more to fix it. So also quick shout out to Beverly. We know you're in travel, to, as Joy said, doing amazing things. If you're looking for, some tax advice and you need to do a tax planning session, you can reach out to Attorney Beverly Winstead, and you can go to www.irshelpattorneys.com. She is one of our Three Money Amigos, but she's on travel today, so we wish her safe travels. Everybody, thank you for being with us.